Okay, God said, Moo, don't come here. Fine. Ever thought an Indian horror game would actually be worth your time? Not just something you try out of curiosity and drop after 10 minutes, but something you can come back after a long day, sit down, and actually finish. Because let's be honest, most indie horror games either try too much and become too frustrating, or they're so simple that they just feel forgettable. That's where Kamla caught my attention. It's a short horror experience set in rural India. No combat, no complex mechanics, just you, a mansion, and something that's hunting you. On paper, it sounds perfect for a working gamer. Simple, focused, and no time wasted. But here's the thing, just because a game is short and straightforward doesn't mean it actually respects your time. So the real question is Kamla actually worth your time? Or is just another short experience you'll forget the next day? Kamla is a short, first-person survival horror game set in rural India during 1980s, and right from the start, it leans heavily into the setting and atmosphere rather than the complex gameplay. You play as a tantric, someone called into a wealthy household after a disturbing incident where a newly married woman has suddenly turned violent, killing members of her own family. But very quickly it becomes clear that this isn't just badness, there's something far more sinister behind it. The entire game takes place inside a large haunted mansion, and the spaces becomes your whole world for the rest of the duration of the experience. As you move deeper into the game, the house doesn't just feel like a location, it starts to feel like reflection of Kamla's state of mind and gradually becoming more and more distorted and unsettling as you progress. Your main objective is to explore different sections of the mansion, solve simple environmental puzzles, and collect specific ritual items you need to perform the exorcism. The progression is very straightforward. You unlock areas, find what you need, and slowly work your way towards completing the ritual. There is no combat here. The game relies entirely on the tension and awareness. You're constantly navigating the mansion, avoiding the danger, and making your way through it carefully. At its core, Kamla is a content horror experience that leans on its settings and atmosphere rather than gameplay depth. So, going in, it's important to know that this is meant to be a straightforward experience, not a complex one. Kamla works best in how simple and focused it is, and that's why it really starts to respect your time. From the beginning, the game gives you clear objectives and sticks to it without constantly changing the rules or introducing distractions. The progression is straightforward and linear, which means you're not wasting your time figuring out what the game expects from you. You always have a sense of direction, and that keeps the experience moving forward steadily. Another thing it does well is keeping the experience short and content. It doesn't stretch itself with the filler content or artificial length. Everything you do is directly tied to the main objective. What really adds to this is how well the game builds its atmosphere. The visuals, the sound design, and the overall presentation work together to create a consistent horror experience without relying heavily on the gameplay. The fear factor, especially from Kamla herself, is where the game stands out. You don't always see her, but you always feel her presence. The subtle sounds, whispers, and movements around the house, that constant tension keeps you engaged without needing anything extra. For a working gamer, this is where Kamla quietly does the job well. It doesn't demand constant attention or force you into long sessions. You can step away and come back without feeling lost or disconnected. There is a certain ease to how the game flows. The progress feels natural, not something you have to push through that makes it comfortable to even play when you're not fully locked in. It also avoids the usual trap of dragging out its ideas. The game knows exactly what it wants to deliver and sticks to it without trying to stretch the moments that you don't need. Because of that, the experience feels complete rather than exhausting, something you can go through, take in, and move on from the game without lingering as unfinished business. And that's where it works, not by doing more, but knowing exactly when it's enough. Where Kamla starts to feel short is how quickly the experience lures its challenge. Once you understand where the key items usually spawn and how the puzzle works, the game becomes much easier than it should be. Most of the time, only a few elements change between the runs, so if you know where to look, you're already halfway done without much effort. Because of that, the tension drops faster than expected. What initially feels like uncertain and engaging slowly turns into a routine where you are just going through the motions instead of reacting to the game. The other issue is what happens after you finish it. Once you have completed the ritual and seen what the game has to offer, there's very little reason to come back. You already figured out the structure, the routes, and the key interactions. And when a game is this short, the lack of replay value stands out even more, and it ends up feeling like one-time experience rather than something you would revisit. So while the first run can be engaging, the game doesn't do much to keep the engagement going beyond it. Kamla is not for you if you're not a fan of survival horror experiences. The game is built entirely around the exploration, puzzles, and tension. There is no combat, so the experience relies heavily on the atmosphere and avoiding danger rather than action. It's also not for you if you're looking for a strong replay value. Once you've completed the ritual and understand how the game works, there's very little reason to come back, since the core structure and the item flow remain mostly the same. And if you prefer a game with deeper systems, progression, or more gameplay varieties, this will feel like too limited. Everything here is focused and contained, without additional layer to explore. So if you're not into slow-paced horror or you expect something that you can keep coming back to, this probably won't work for you. Kamla knows exactly what it is, a short, one-time horror experience, and sticks to it without wasting your time. It doesn't have the depth or replay value to keep you coming back, but that's not really what it's trying to do. If you're a working gamer looking for something you can pick up, experience, and finish without a long-term commitment, this is an easy recommendation, especially at its price. Just don't go in expecting more than that. Play it once, experience it, and move on. Follow for more, because not every game deserves your time.